Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. And if you ever wondered who has practically played the most battles on the server, well, today I'm going to meet them. And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains to be seen. You'll have to guess which person it is going to be on the enemy team as you watch this. Imagine it's like Guess Who. How does someone who's played pretty much the most games on the server play World of Tanks? Are they the most practiced, incredible, wonderful player who's going in and doing, you know, your 6,000 damage per games and picking up 4 or 5 kills on average a battle? Yes. Maybe not, boys and girls. This is me playing on my Plays for Free account, and that is me destroying pretty much the player who, as far as it doesn't even matter if it's not the most games. That is Romash. And Romash has played over 500,000 games of World of Tanks. Now, to put that into perspective, I've been playing this game every single day since the closed beta. And it's my full-time job. It pays my bills. It managed to pay for my wedding and all of that kind of stuff. I've come a long way and played a lot of World of Tanks along the way as well. But I've only played about maybe 125,000 games of World of Tanks. So that gentleman Romash on the enemy team, who is level 350, and to be fair, I bet you Romash would actually like it if the levels went a lot higher with regards to experience in vehicles, has played, for every game of World of Tanks I've played, they've played 4. So while I would consider this to be a full-time job of playing the game, and obviously I'm just playing video games, so it doesn't really count as a job, and there's no effort or energy that goes into it in the slightest. No. They could have done this 4 times over, right? Goodness gracious, that's a terrifying prospect. I'll do more analysis on the 500,000 battles in just a second, because you'll be shocked at how much time that would take if you were to play the battle properly. Now, what you're going to see here in this game is what happens when you play on Prokhorovka and your light tank, in this case Romash, just does absolutely nothing, basically just drives across the map and dies at the beginning of the battle. Now, I'm not really here to judge whether driving across in the EBR, going out of the line of sight of your allies and spotting at a point where there's no hope for them to actually be able to shoot for you is playing the game. One of the big things that I've been debating recently, and especially this video will beg the question, is play like that from that EBR 105 a valid way to play World of Tanks? And what are the implications for playing World of Tanks in that way? Well, for the enemy team now, they don't have a light tank, and so if our EBR just doesn't mess about and doesn't really get caught here, there's pretty much nothing the enemy team can do with regards to vision. If you don't have an EBR, your medium tanks can't get forwards, your TDs on a map like this have to chill back, and really the only chance the enemy team have now is probably to try and take the hill and kind of crush in, if that's a possibility. Now, do they know that we don't have vehicles up on the hill? Well, I guess if all of the tanks at the back have been spotted, but who's going to be spotting those tanks? Who's going to be providing vision? Well, surely it's not the smouldering wreck that we see over there that we managed to double at the start of the battle. And so, it's very tricky to sit here and to realize a couple of things. Number one, players like that who we haven't taken a look at how overall they play. Maybe it was just one of those games, right? We all have those games. We get frustrated because of a mission. We get frustrated because things just aren't going well in our life for that day. We get frustrated because maybe someone on our team abused us at the start of the battle, made fun of us, and we want to stick it to them by playing awfully. I never really think that's the true way to stick it to someone who's abusing you verbally at the start of the battle. I feel like the way to stick it to them is to show them how hard you can carry the battle and kind of prove to yourself in that kind of way. But unfortunately here, the result is that if you're on a map where a light tank is so darn important that when your light tank dies, there's just practically no hope. And especially if you're playing a vehicle that doesn't have good camera rating like an FE405, I've been frothing at the mouth angry when I've had inexperienced light tanks. So I can only imagine how the enemy team feel when they see that their only light tank literally, in my opinion, intentionally gets themselves killed at the start of the battle. And I feel that the way that EBR played is no better than somebody who, for example, would drive off a cliff at the start of the battle, or somebody who would drown themselves at the start of the battle. So I would be interested to know exactly what Wargaming stance would be on plays like this. Do they endorse it? Is this playing World of Tanks? Is playing World of Tanks enough to just hold your W key to drive all the way across the map at the start of the battle and to get yourself killed? I know for a fact that you can't drown yourself intentionally, either at the start or the end of the battle. It's against the game's rules, and if you do that and a player submits the replay in a report to Wargaming support, you will get yourself banned for an increasing length of time depending on how many times you do it. So I really wonder if I was to go out of my way and to submit this replay to Wargaming support, would they say that that's okay play? Or would they say that, sure, that guy has intentionally got themselves killed at the start of the battle, and that this is not the kind of standard of play that we want to see? Even if somebody was to, I don't know, wait for a couple of minutes and then just drive along the west and be able to try and get some vision along there in a heroic run, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. But intentionally driving across the middle of the map into up to 15 enemy vehicles with absolutely no hope of your team actually hitting any vehicles that have been spotted, I don't think that is good play. And it also, again, begs the question, what kind of an impact would that have with regards to your win ratio and your WNAs? Well, you don't have to wait too long. I'm going to show you, and we're going to go full on it. So, all in all, in my personal opinion, a player like this should not be able to play like this if they're doing it constantly. And if this can be proven that they can do it constantly, I'd hope that Wargaming would take action. Now, look, this is not... I'm using Romash and the way that they play their EBR as to present a question to have a platform to then discuss whether, like, intentionally getting yourself killed in a battle like that, gosh darn, Mr. Jaegeru, you also got me, whether intentionally getting yourself killed in a battle like that should be allowed. It should be an option for players to do consistently and throughout, and not as just a one-off. So how many games a day do you have to play if you've played 512,000 battles? Well, that is 115 battles a day since the account was created in 2013. What's absolutely terrifying is this player has played their EBR 105 63,000 times and their EBR 90 48,000 times. And I can only presume before they were added to the game, which have now become their favorites, they were smashing the T100 LT with 36,000 games. What's absolutely ridiculous as well is that if you play World of Tanks like this, like that EBR 105 did Romash there in that game of Prokhorovka, I'm kind of getting the feeling that that was not a one-off. Their average win ratio in the vehicle is less than 38%. That means that when they are a constant on their team, that their team is losing 62.5% of their battles. If Romash ends up on your team, you're pretty much 2/3 likely to lose that game, which really shows you how important having a skilled, or at least an EBR 105 that tries on your team. And remember, this isn't just a case of Prokhorovka or Malinovka where the EBR 105 is weighted. This will be all maps. And honestly, it's really terrifying to me to think that you can play World of Tanks like this, or more importantly, that a teammate that you have, that you rely on in a light tank, can play World of Tanks like this, play for 12 years, and just keep playing in that way. To put this into perspective, they are putting in less than 1 shot of damage per game, and they're only getting 200 assistance when many people are averaging 2,000 or 3,000 assistance when they're playing their EBR 105 properly. What's also scary is Romash really shows no signs of stopping. If we take a look at how many battles they've played in the last 7 days, it's as many games as some people play World of Tanks in a year. 1,600 battles, 1,611 battles in 7 days is 230 battles per day. Let's factor in that there's a 30-second countdown timer in World of Tanks. If we only factor in there's a 30-second countdown timer, that is 115 minutes on average per day that they have spent in the countdown. And as we could see from that game of Prokhorovka, that might be one of the biggest limits to them being able to play World of Tanks more. If we also factor in that it probably takes 30 seconds to load back into your garage and maybe for the matchmaker to go and put you in a game, that'll be another 150 minutes. And then if we also factor in that maybe it's going to take a couple of minutes for their battle to last, or at least a minute on top of that, then it's going to be anywhere up to about 230 extra minutes. That is on average 460 minutes per day with a 2-minute game length. That's 7.5 hours playing World of Tanks in this fashion. But that's not unusual. I've been playing World of Tanks far more than that. But my game lengths have been substantially longer as I hopefully try to influence the battles as much as possible, even when I'm really frustrated with Wargaming's missions. What really is the meat of the matter here is that is probably 230 battles that I would say were probably ruined for most likely for both sides, purely because they decided that they want to play World of Tanks in a way that I really don't think is in the spirit of the game in a multiplayer title. One thing that's really interesting in this battle that happened, REBR 105 definitely made use of the situation because they went on to do 11,000 spotting. And congratulations to you, Pogromka, because you actually got your account record in 20,000 battles of spotting of that 11,000 on that Prokhorovka game, thanks to Romash. But that is kind of like the silver lining. Should you sign up in an EBR 105, hoping that you're going to meet a player like that. I think the only person who really had fun out of the 30 players in that game was probably Pogromka. But again, that comes at the expense of at least 28 other players who aren't Romash, because I guess they're just having fun getting the most battles that you could possibly play, even at the expense of the integrity of the game and the whole purpose of playing World of Tanks. So while I can only guess about the mentality of somebody who wants to play World of Tanks in this way, one thing I'd like to highlight is that I think that Wargaming actually might be part of the problem. Not just because maybe their detection systems allow players to play World of Tanks in this way, but also because I had no idea until I looked at Romash's account that there's actually badges for playing insane amounts of World of Tanks. I had zero idea that these even existed inside the game, but there's actually a class of special badges for playing 150,000 games of World of Tanks, for playing 200,000 games of World of Tanks, for playing 250,000 games of World of Tanks, and even one for playing 300,000 games of World of Tanks, which Romash is putting proudly as their #1 badge. And so this badge in itself, does it justify the 500,000 battles that you could argue that Romash has ruined for the other 29 players in that battle? Are they absolutely justified in playing this way because they wanted to just get the special badge of 300,000 battles, which I had no idea even existed, as quickly as possible? And I wonder if that is the case, if Wargaming realized where they put in ridiculous badges or achievements like this, that it would probably encourage certain individuals to dedicate literally years and years and years of their life into ruining over 500,000 games of World of Tanks. So I, for one, think that this badge should just not exist, because the last thing that we would need is to have more people playing World of Tanks like Romash do. Every single time somebody plays like that, the game gets worse. And the fact that Wargaming have effectively left this carrot here to, I guess they weren't directly trying to encourage behavior like this, but it's clearly the prime example of what they're most proud of for a player like Romash. And this is something that I'd really love to hear all of you pitch in on in the comments down below. Do you think playing World of Tanks like this is an acceptable way to enjoy the game? Do you think that it's disruptive for your allies and it actually does ruin the experience of others? And what do you think about the fact that there's a badge that requires you to play 300,000 battles? Which, in theory, let's imagine that your average game length is about 5 minutes. Let's imagine that you spend half a minute in the queue for that 30 seconds countdown, and you also spend about 30 seconds getting into your garage before you click another vehicle. How long is that? How long is that? That's that's actually 1,800,000 minutes. That is going to be 30,000 hours. That is going to be 1,250 days. That is 3.5 years if you're awake 24 hours a day just doing that. That's literally, if we factor in sleep, where we divide by 3 and oh no, I've done it the wrong way, times by 3 and we divide by 2 if you're sleeping for 8 hours a day. That's 5 years of being awake. We're talking about kind of like 7% of a human life if you're playing World of Tanks properly to be able to achieve that badge. And the final point that I'd like to make is that a lot of people have asked me over the years, should there really be a mechanic where your tanks get locked inside the battle so you can't play them again instantly? And let me tell you, yes, there really should be. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was a different kind of video today, going into a deep dive into player mentality and thinking about what ruins games and what doesn't ruin games and Wargaming's questionable encouragement of it. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And once again, really looking forward to seeing your comments down below. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Wednesday, I'm going live all day on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby with brand new drops tokens. So come and grab some, as unfortunately I enter like day 3 of trying to get the final mission done for the Black Rock. Let's go. Let's see if I could dig deep today.